So this is week 9, and your assignment this week is going to be to read chapters 9 and 10 of the textbook, and we're going to call this subject planning. And so this would be what we would have to do if we were planning to put in a wind turbine someplace. And the document you see before you here will also be available in this week's content folder, and you can see that we've got several learning objectives listed here. Finding out if there's any zoning requirements, getting an idea of whether our neighbors are willing to go along with this sort of thing, picking the right wind turbine and tower to meet your needs or your desires. I've got a couple other links here. There's this one that's shown for the wind library. I'll go to that in a moment when I get off of this page. We'll have to learn about using a topographical map of our area. We'll be doing a little bit more of this in the coming weeks when we're making our site assessment surveys. But for now, we're just going to talk about planning. So after you've read the planning chapters here and watched the videos that I have placed in this week's folder, we've got a couple assessment activities. One is the thing that I'm going to refer to as a scavenger hunt, and you'll see that here in just a moment. It's on the next page of this. And then of course I'll have a quiz on both the reading material and the PowerPoint that you'll see in these videos. So I'm going to go to the second page here now, and we're going to see this is what the scavenger hunt looks like. I'm going to want you to select a city, not necessarily a city, but maybe a township or a rural area, not necessarily where you live, but maybe where you'd think about putting a wind turbine up. And some of the things that we want to check on is whether or not there are any wind energy ordinances in your area. Wisconsin does have a small wind model ordinance that we can find online. You will also need to find out if you need any sort of a zoning permit for your county or your town or your township. As it turns out, where I live in Dodge County, in the town of Shields, my town did not need a permit. They wanted me to just follow the permitting that was required by Dodge County. We're going to look at that in a moment also. It required a building permit and an electrical permit, which I promptly got. Then there will also be some other things that are required, which are insurance requirements. There's another video that shows quite a bit of information on what was required for me in accordance with my utility company, We Energies. So I'm not going to go into that here since I've already covered that in pretty good depth. So those are the gist of what we're going to try to do. And when you're done finding this information, I'm going to have you write a one-page summary of your findings. Does your township have a wind energy ordinance? If so, do you know the history of it? Who wrote it? Okay, it's all listed right here at the bottom, the things that I want you to do. Does it require any building permits or any electrical permits or any zoning permits or any conditional use permits? Which electric utility serves this particular area? Do they participate in any sort of focus on energy programs, or do they have any programs of their own that would help you install a wind turbine? In addition to the distributed generation interconnection agreement that we've discussed in the other video, does your town or county require anything else? And then lastly, if the area you're going to be putting this in is within a 5-mile radius of an airport, you'll need to notice that, and then also find out if there's any FAA approval required for that turbine. So that's the scavenger hunt. That's your assignment for the week. I want to go now and show you some of the things that I experienced when I did mine. All right, so I'm going to go to the internet, and I'm going to show you one of the documents that was listed on this sheet here, the windlibrary.org exhibits the wind energy toolkit. So this is actually pretty good. It shows exactly what you would need to do. Now this was made for the Washington State, but many of the things that are shown here are pretty generic, and so I would want you to go to this website. It's listed both on the document called planning and then also here on the top of this web page. So that's one of the things that I'd like you to look at. As I was doing my quest, I ended up going to Dodge County. This is what mine looks like. And I notice I put up here in the window wind, and then down here later I typed in wind ordinance. And that showed me, that got me to this overlay of zoning district regulations, which took me to another page, and finally I was able to find this document, the Wind Energy System Overlay District. And there's only two things listed here, right? There's only two pages. They refer to a wind turbine as a wind energy system, a WES. And so it's only 2 pages. And it's interesting because this was redone, I believe, in 2013, right? And when I did this, I'm sorry, 2015, right? Because we can see that it was updated right down here, right? And so it was updated 2 years ago. And a couple things have changed since when I did mine. Notice the heights. The heights are now 75 feet. It was 100 feet when I did mine. Why would they make it shorter? Doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. Okay, there's silos taller than these. Why would a wind turbine need to be smaller unless, of course, they didn't want wind turbines to be installed? That's my only thing I can guess. So I'm interested to hear what you find out in the areas where you're going to be doing your research. So that's what Dodge County has to tell me. And that then is going to summarize what we'll be doing for this week. If you have any questions, please send me an email. I'll be glad to follow up and get you an answer as soon as I can.